Hello everybody and welcome to the review of Moonfall, the beat 'em up where you don't exactly beat them up. It was a major issue right off the bat with this game, as it might be labeled as a brawler. This feels nothing like any of the brawlers I've played. My favorite series of brawlers is Streets of Rage, which has some solid style of slapping up thugs and showing them who's boss. However, in the Moonfall, it feels more stiff and has a lot less impact from every attack. Combat in general is what this game is said to be designed around, but falls short in so many ways. Basic attacks do not cause enemies to stagger, meaning they will strike you back as you strike them. You are able to combo attacks, but even that can still be a bit clunky since you're forced to finish the animation before moving. Using slow two-handed weapons can result in you taking a lot more incoming damage since you cannot move out of the way, and any additional attacks from spamming the button must be played out, which can kinda hold you still for a little longer. It would be nice to have some force behind your attacks that stagger the enemies, and this would help make this feel more complete as a beat 'em up. Blocking feels completely useless as you can't properly block majority of incoming attacks, and unless you're wielding a shield, you still take damage. The best method in this game is to simply dodge, meaning you'll end up running circles, gathering enemies together, and just using spells from a distance or ones that stagger and stun enemies until you run out of mana. Then you're just going to be running in circles until your mana regenerates so that you can then use spells and abilities, and this gets kind of repetitive, being mana regeneration is a bit slow unless you focus in it. This is all not mentioning the lack of indication that you're actually taking damage. It is so subtle when your health starts to deplete that you'll glance at your health bar only to notice that you've been swinging twice and you've lost a good half of your health for reasons you probably can't see. There are several environmental traps that will deal damage to you. Even the hitboxes from enemies can be really weird and strike you even when you think you're out of range. Overall, the combat comes down to you dodging and using abilities to take enemies out regardless of your class. And speaking of classes, there are a total of 3 which focus on giving you a different set of abilities and spells to use. Each class comes with 4 active spells and 6 passive abilities, which typically enhance the 4 main spells that you get. Classes don't feel too different as they typically use the same equipment. Equipment takes on a standard RPG style where you can find several bits of weapons with effects added on. Like Diablo, you can find a variety of the same weapon with different effects and different tiers that show the strength of that particular weapon. Likely when you find a powerful unique weapon, you'll ignore the rest of the weapons until you find the next more powerful unique weapon or armor piece that comes along. I never found myself really using a shop either, as I could find everything I wanted in the field, including potions. I found all the best equipment while on the field, and that makes the Lunarium currency useless since I never spent any of it on anything, as potions drop quite frequently mid to late game. So as the final piece of combat, let's talk about that bar at the middle of the screen at the top. This was a power bar unique to each class, but it falls a bit short as it does not provide a proper benefit that I can use in this game due to the wonky combat. The Elementalist I'm playing, for example, can cast fire or ice to fill the bar to the respective side. As the bar gets close to the end, it adds that element of damage to your weapon. The problem you'll notice though is I'm not using my weapon. I can't. If I were to start swinging back, I'd end up taking more damage than I would be dishing out. So this bar gets completely ignored the entire game. Same with the other classes. I'll just end up running in circles and using abilities, ignoring the bar's passive for each class. However, if you can get past this, the overall combat is just mediocre. The game is very playable, but then we do fall to the story for a bit of help to cover the RPG aspects of the game, and oh boy, is this story quite a trip. I do believe that the grammar and story writing issues come from the translation, as developers from Fishcow Studios are from Slovakia. Displayed here is the first screen of text that you get for the intro of the game. As walls of text really don't bother me, it's actually the first paragraph that really cuts my immersion from this game. Terra Nihil is trying to be both a world and a continent, which I'm not sure is really possible. And then cultures are birthing lands. It gets a little confusing pretty quick. Took me a couple times to reread it to kind of understand where they were trying to go with it. If you were to read the entire thing, I don't know exactly what's going on. In my summary of the game, things called savages, which is a group of random races, are taking down the empire because some king guy died, and that's happening. And then from here, you are I guess, some guy at a random outpost who is moving forward to defeat the savages. And you can get some additional information with each quest and secret messages from the levels themselves, but it's hard to tell who wrote the notes, or who it's for, or what's saying what. It just the whole thing just takes maybe 4 to 5 read-throughs to really understand maybe what they were going for, but even then, it's just a guess. Not to mention, the notes can be pretty funny, as they're written as if they're actually talking, including all the laughing, heavy breathing, and several exclamation points to show you just how angry they can be. It would be as if I were to write a love letter to my fiancée and input every grunt and breathing noise I made. Dear Melody, your eyes are as beautiful as the sun. Asterisk, breathing intensifies, heart emoji. Love, TydeTyme. And without any spoilers, let me say the ending was just a bit confusing. I didn't really feel like it was much of an ending, and the conclusion was kind of shocking, but it was more or less because I was unaware what the real goal of the game was. And even with all this harping against the game, there are a few redeeming qualities. The hand-painted artwork looks beautiful and the music sounds great, as it does fit the theme very well, and to be honest, it looks really good. I can't complain about that in any way, though this style of animation does limit what the characters do. That didn't really stop me at all as far as everything else with the game. Overall, I think Moonfall is just trying to be too much of what it isn't. If it wants to be a side-scrolling beat-em-up game, you gotta make a game that actually has fun beat-em-up mechanics like Streets of Rage, where attacks have impact and you feel that you're beating your enemies up. It makes the difference when you're fighting hordes of enemies and you're in control of the situation. If you want to be an RPG with level-up elements, sure, but don't forget that you do need a cohesive story that makes sense. If it takes me 5 to 6 times to read your first paragraph to really understand anything, or if by the end of the game I really have no idea what I'm doing, I'm just killing a whole bunch of enemies, I think the RPG elements are really lacking there. You can find this game on Steam for $10, link in the description down below to their store page if you want to check this game out. It looks beautiful, the music's great, combat is mediocre, so don't come here thinking you're going to get the most action-packed, best storytelling in the world, but you will get a decent game with about 4 hours of playthrough for your first playthrough with 3 different classes to play if you want to try them all out. There are different settings of difficulty so that you can try on a harder mode if you'd like. I'm not sure if the easier mode would make it feel like more of a beat 'em up, as I only tried normal and hard, which required me to use abilities and constantly just dodge incoming projectiles. There's a good variety of enemies, everything is there for you. It is still a good game to play, just there are several other games that do what this is trying to do, but better. However, I still just can't get past the artwork. It does look beautiful. To end the review, I guess in the game's current state, I don't particularly recommend it. Until the combat is fixed and feels a little more like a beat 'em up or more fluid, I don't particularly enjoy the game. It's more of a chore than it is to play, and games should be fun. If I feel it is a chore to play this game because of having to manipulate certain mechanics like running in circles, it does get boring pretty fast, and then having to force myself to finish it does not help me complete that experience in a positive manner. Does this game interest you? If so, let me know in the comments down below, and if you've played Moonfall, I'd love to hear your opinions on it and the experiences you had while playing. Don't forget to put a like and a comment down below, and if you've enjoyed this review, feel free to subscribe for daily gaming content. Thank you all for watching, and as always, good game.